Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and today we're going to take a look at another GoBot review. This time around we're looking at the Guardian GoBot known as Royalty. Now, Royalty was one of them released in 1984. He would also be available throughout 1985. He would be discontinued by 1986. And it wouldn't be long afterwards before the toy line would be discontinued. Royalty is one of the more popular of the GoBots, as he was also featured in a model kit made by Monogram Models. And at some point I will review the model kit version of him. Of course, Royalty is one of them that many of the promotional materials also changed a bit of his conversion in the robot mode. The vast majority of the material, including the packaging for the toy, had his wings in this position here on his backside, kind of folded down, just basically hanging there. Although some of the records, storybook records and such, would advertise that the proper way to have him would be to have the wings folded up like this. Now again, for many of you viewers out there, how you would display your toy is by your own discretion. The only thing I would recommend against this way of doing it is that the missiles on the underside of the plane do tend to rub up against the metal part here on his backside. So putting it this way does put some stress wear on the missiles. So you will break them off eventually if you're not careful. So it's probably for the best that his wings just hang on the backside. One other fragile point to point out to all of you on Royalty is the split tail fins here on his legs. As you can see when we put him at this angle, these are very, very thin plastic, so they do snap off relatively easily. So you will want to be careful of that if you want a perfect Royalty in your collection. Now, of course, taking a look at Royalty's articulation, he has a fair amount, but it's not perfect, but he does have a fair amount going for him. He does have a joint at the shoulder, which does allow the arm to rotate. It can't rotate fully all the way due to the wing getting in the way, but he can rotate the arm fairly well. Plus, as you can probably see inside the arm is connected to a ball joint, so he can bring his arm forward like this across his chest. So you do get some rather unique poses out of his arms due to how they are positioned. And next, on his legs, they are connected to a joint here at the hip that allows them to spread his legs apart about so far. Never mind the fact that we've got the landing gear sticking out on the backside between his legs. Yes, please make fun of it in the comments section below if you feel you must. But let's not dwell upon that. Not everybody's perfect. The only other articulation of note is down here at the ankle. Although it's more used for the conversion, you can put a split out like so. Doesn't really serve much purpose, but you can do it. Alright, now let's take a look at converting Royalty into his alternate mode. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to spread his legs out a bit, and we're going to fold the rear landing gear up, as it will pop the chest cavity free once we get it into position like that. And we take the chest cavity and fold it and his head up all the way, and then just slide it back just a little bit. Of course, while we're at it, we'll pop out the landing gear and lock it into place. Then next, you're going to manipulate his arms when you have them pointing down, like so. Just fold them up to the side and fold the arms inside. Press the shoulders down. This requires just a little maneuverability. It's a tight fit, but seeing as it's made of metal, it'll fit pretty snugly. Now we're going to turn him around here. You're going to move the wings up and push them into position. As you can probably see here, I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera, but there is an indent in there where the wings are supposed to lock in. Just line it up and push it in. Be gentle now. Now down here at his legs, you're going to fold the side of these tail fins out to the side. Then, as you get his legs straight, you're going to grab each leg and turn it so that the tail fin now points straight up. Press the legs together and then push them against the body. Then you're going to fold his feet out and line them up at the backside. And there you have Royalty's alternate mode. He's a jet fighter. Specifically, he is a Harrier GR1. As you know, Harriers are known for their ability to take off and land vertically. So that makes them useful in certain combat situations where a full runway is not an option. Kind of like what they're doing now with the Raptor fighter jet. Although the Harrier here, in my mind, did it the best, but of course you got to keep up with the technology. Now, of course, Royalty gets his name partially from the markings that are featured on the wings of the plane and along the fuselage here. These are the markings for the Royal Air Force in Great Britain, hence Royal-T. It's a bad pun, yes, but it does work. It's not too terribly horrendous. Now, of course, he's a vastly different plane from the Transformer Harrier, the Aerialbot Slingshot. Both of them are Harriers, but it's more obvious Slingshot is of a different model of Harrier than what Royalty is. But it does show, once again, fans, both toy lines did have a hover-capable attack plane. So, they were able to be used in situations that would require an airplane that was capable of hovering. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Royalty? Royalty is a very impressive looking plane, and he's also not too bad as a robot. The original lore written by Tonka concerning the character was to intend for him to be a prince, hence that would further enhance his name and such to go along with it. That he'd be a prince on Gobatron, and that for part of his public service record he would join the Gobatron Defense Forces and serve with the other Guardians in battle. While certainly noble and thus somewhat reflected as well with the careers that we've seen out of Great Britain for both Prince William and Harry, it seems kind of a metaphor of sorts, especially when you consider the fact that this toy was put out 30 years ago. However, Part of the confusion regarding royalty is his appearance in the GoBots cartoon. Since the bio was not used, any mention of royalty on Gobotron was dropped in favor of more a civilian council, as they presented it in the series a lot. However, the animators also did not have a concrete lore book to know where to put royalty. He would show up a lot in the cartoon, but in a fair amount of episodes he was accidentally drawn to be amongst the renegades. So, obviously that was an error on Tonka's part to not correct them on that, or make sure that there was some means of making sure they knew who went with what faction easily. Unlike the Transformers, which had the proper insignias, but in a ways, without the weird insignias being on them, the GoBots do tend to go better on the whole robot in disguise thing than what the Transformers pitched. So, it's kind of a double-edged sword in the long run. Royalty's also gained a lot of popularity amongst many in the fan community due to the fact that he is a superbly better converted jet than what we got for Leader 1 in the terms of the small plane. That's mainly an attack on the fact that Leader 1 has the front landing gear split into two that fit on his arms instead of a single landing gear under the cockpit, which was seen clearly on this toy. Now, granted, while this toy might have made a better one as Leader 1, I kind of like him in this role more, as this different character. Especially when you consider the silly puns behind his name and the reasoning behind it. But overall, all in all, I'm definitely going to place royalty here among the top tier of GoBots to have. I mean, even among many of the Transformers, he definitely deserves being in the high part of the middle tier to maybe the top tier. He's got an excellent conversion from robot to vehicle. It's more complicated than what most would give the GoBots credit for. He does become something of a unique jet, and in certain combat situations, he would likely be very useful in it. Plus, I also love the fact that he does have a fair concentration of metal to plastic on the toy, so that makes him pretty rugged. The only downside to that is that it also means that a lot of the plastic areas on Royalty are a pain to keep from stress wearing or breaking. Like I said, the most vulnerable areas are again the tail fins and the missiles on his wings. So you'll want to make sure if you do buy a loose Royalty that he does have 4 missiles, 2 to each wing. One long and one slightly shorter. So if you're looking for this toy out there, folks, and you want a good, pristine model, that's what you gotta look for. Happy hunting to all of you on it. And that concludes my review of the Guardian GoBot Royalty. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up here on YouTube. Don't forget as well to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. And please also consider sharing your thoughts and opinions of Royalty in the comments section down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.